Hey everyone, as we talk real estate today, I want to talk about two questions we get every single day. Is now a good time to buy? Is now a good time to sell? Our market has shifted, and what does that look like for the buyer, and what does that look like for the seller? So let's go through this, and we actually made a really good visual that I'll show you here in a sec, and then you can compare it at the end as well from this market to the previous market. So think about this. The previous market, let's just say the beginning of this year, if you were buying in the Austin, Central Texas area, a home would come on the market today. There would be multiple offers within hours. After all said and done, you might have 30 offers on this house. Things were moving very fast, very quick. You probably only had a couple homes for you to choose from that you could actually go out and look each day. If that home was listed at $600,000, it would probably end up selling for around $700,000, and we've seen some a lot more and some a little bit less. Most of the buyers that were winning the houses were their cash buyers, so they were putting 20 or 30% down. And on top of that, they were having to do appraisal waivers, meaning if you paid $700,000 for that $600,000 house, but it only appraised for $550, that appraisal waiver, depending on how it was written, could have said that the buyer was going to cover that $150,000 difference. On top of that, you couldn't do a lot during the inspection because the sellers had so much leverage, and you would probably have to make an offer on 10 or 20 different homes before you'd actually get a house. So it was very stressful. But the interest rates were low. And so you could get probably a 3% interest rate, depending how far you go back, it'd go up to 4% or so, but that was the selling side, and that was a small part of the feeding frenzy of everything else that was going on as well. So visually, when you look at that, here's what that looks like. Again, $600,000 price point, it ends up selling for $700,000. There's probably going to be 30 offers on the houses that you're going in at. You're probably going to have to bid on 10 to 20 homes before you secure one, somewhere in the 3 to 4% interest rate. 3 times less homes available on the market. And you had little negotiation room. You had to do appraisal waivers. You had to do high down payments or cash offers. Like, the leverage was not in the buyer's advantage at all. So that's the market. That's the old market, right? So now let's talk about the new market. We have a graphic for that as well, but just so you can kind of get an idea of what that looks like. In today's market, if a house were to go on the market, that same house for $600,000, most of the time they're not selling in a couple days. It's taking some time to season a little bit. There's a lot more inventory on the market. So we said at the beginning of the year that in some areas they had 2 or 3 days of inventory. Now we have 2.6 months of inventory. So a lot more homes to look at, which is on the buyer side, that's really good. That same house that would list for 600,000 and sell for 700,000 is now selling, let's say, 580,000. So paying 20K less instead of 100K more when you look at the list price. You don't have to be a cash buyer. This is actually really good, or you don't have to be one that's putting 20 or 30% down as well. And so I can't tell you how many of our VA buyers are getting in there for $0 down. We have plenty of people getting in for 3 and 5%. We even have buyers securing their next home with a contingency offer. And here's what that means in case that's foreign to you. It means that I will buy your home when I sell my home, and my home hasn't sold yet. And so that gives the buyer, seller kind of a little bit more security, the buyer on the buying side, but they're also the seller with their other home. And so it's really a big deal, and that is coming out more and more. We've had several of our buyers doing that also. And so you see all those. You're not having to do appraisal waivers every time. You're being able to talk during the inspection. And you're only going to have to go in and make an offer generally on one house. And so the buyers are loving it. Now, the interest rate's now in the 5%, give or take, and there's strategies on how you can dip below that and it'll be a little bit more above that. I did make a video about how you can do buy downs, temporary and long term, depending on what you think about the market and what it's going to do. But it still gives you, at the end of the day, a fixed rate at today's rate. So you can really hedge your bets and use that for leverage. And we have strategies and actually how you can go down, get tens of thousands of dollars off the home that you're trying to buy, as well as kind of getting a buy down on your rate. And so there's some fun strategy we can do there. But when you look at that, let's look at this visual. So now you're buying the same home that was $600,000 at 580. You're the only one competing for it. You have time to kind of make a decision. Your interest rate may be around 5%, give or take. You have so many more homes to choose from. You're not having to do appraisal waivers. You don't have to pay cash. You can bring less money to the table. You can possibly even do contingencies. There's so many more options out there. So when you look at that and you compare this chart to the other chart, so we have our old market and then we have our current market. If we were to go back to 2019 and we were to tell the buyers, hey, you get the tale of two markets, which would you choose? Here's how crazy this old market feels, and you're going to have to pay $700,000 for the $600,000 home, and you're going to have to bid on 10 to 20 different homes before you get one. You're going to have to waive appraisal, and you're going to have to do all these things. And some people were even waiving inspections, and it really got in the seller's favor on that side, and so it got really tough for buyers. Or would you prefer this market? And I think most of us, for the most part, if you were buying in this market, it makes total sense that today's market is where you want to be. And the other thing is that we'll hear people that will say, you know what? I really want to wait until interest rates go down, or maybe even prices will go down. Who knows? And because they're in this current market and that's what they're hoping for. And that's one strategy that you could do. But what we have seen in the past, when that happened, we went to this old market, interest rates went down, it was more affordable, and people were buying like crazy. So, and especially in this Austin Round Rock area, people want to be here. Businesses are moving here like crazy. So when you look at these two, if you wait for this to happen again, you're going to repeat the same process. You could repeat the same process that happened before. You definitely want to be buying when not as many people are buying if you can. The reason why in the old market people were buying is because they had to. People are moving here. Everyone wants to be in the Austin area. All the jobs are here. And so this is going to happen from time to time, and you're going to see this. If you have the opportunity to buy in today's current market and it's still part of your real estate financial plan, do it. We can help you with the strategies. It's not your forever interest rate. And there's ways to temporarily buy it down and even put like an escrow account aside to help pay it down if you ever have to refinance. There's some really great options that we can help you so you can navigate this market. But getting your home here at the 580 instead of the 700 and giving you options and flexibility and keeping more money in your pocket is a big deal. And so just look at that. If it makes sense for you, or if you just even have questions on that, let us know. The other thing people are asking says, okay, well, that means it's a great market for buyers. Must be a horrible market for sellers. So let's think about this a little bit on the seller side. And I thought we created a great visual for this as well. But if you were to look at your house, I know it's your home and your family's there and it's a big deal. It's also a pretty big investment for most families, for most all families. And so if you were to do like a stock chart of what that looks like, if the last several years, what your home price has done and where it was and where you're at, this is something what it might look like. Home prices from several years ago to today in the Austin, Central Texas area. It's funny, like things kind of were slowly going up, then they really went up, then they went down, then they slowed, and this is kind of maybe what it looks like. And a lot of people will look at the very top here, which might have been, a few months ago or whatever, and say, man, we missed the tippy top. Maybe we just better hold off and wait because maybe this doesn't make sense for us. However, if it's still part of your real estate financial plan, if you were to look at this circled area here and you're selling here in this circled area and this was a stock, you would say, hot dog, I did it. Like I didn't sell at the very top, but I sold near the top of what that looks like. And sometimes depending on the area, depending on the home, depending on the upgrades, the positioning of the house, whether it has a pool, golf course, whatever that might be, you might be selling in 2019 pricing right now. You might be selling 2020. So it may not be the tippy top of what 2022 was, but you are selling at a really good time. And that's actually a lot of people when they actually look at that, if they're needing to go somewhere, what they like about this is they go, you know what, Robert? Once I think about this, I am selling in this market, which is good, and I'm still netting probably, I'm getting a lot of money out of my house, which I didn't think I was going to do several years ago. On the other side, I'm also, you buy in the same market that you sell in most of the time. There are some exceptions to that, but for the most part, you buy in the same market that you sell in. So now they're going to sell this house they can go somewhere else and buy another one. They don't have to put as much money down, so they can pocket a lot of their equity, and instead of having to put 20 or 30% down, they only have to put 5% down maybe. And there's great options, and that could be whether they're getting a normal conventional loan, whether they have to go to a jumbo loan. The rates are actually very similar when it comes to that, and so a lot of sellers are looking up, and when this light bulb goes off, they're going, okay, I understand. It's not the same bidding war of what it was, but man, I'm still getting an amazing price for my house. And a lot of people think knowing what I can get today is a lot better than not knowing what I can get tomorrow. Some people like rolling the dice because they don't have to move now or they're not going to move now and they're really not looking for their next season home or their forever home. And then that's fine. That's where they stand. But a lot of people, they're ready for their next season. And I love calling it the next season home because sometimes people are going to stay in it for the next 10 years and then they're going into retirement. Maybe they're going into retirement now and this is going to be their forever home. But you get to lock that in, and remember, it's your next season home. It's not your forever interest rate. Things can refinance if they do go down. If they go up, you've locked in where you want to be, and you're kind of controlling the next season of your life if this is part of your plan. So if you ever have questions, we love going through this and talking about where the market's at. We're never going to push someone to do what they want to do. We are here. We've been here for what, 16, 17 years now. We love our community and we just want to pour into it. We give recommendations. You get to make decisions. We're here for the long run. And just let us know if you have any questions at all.